your boy Logic. Make sure this is your first time you hit that like and subscribe button. Today, I am very honored to have a beautiful young lady with me. She is a singer, an advocate for humanitarian rights, and she has a portfolio that you wouldn't believe. She is very remarkable. You know, in life, some people just talk the talk, others walk the walk. She does both. So please welcome Maya Azucena.
Wow, that was such a beautiful introduction and well stated. I'm really happy to be here. And thank you so much for those beautiful compliments.
Oh, it's rightfully earned.
Thank
you. Earned. How are you doing today?
Man, I feel amazing. I feel thankful. I'm good. I'm new in Florida as a resident. So born and raised in Brooklyn, this time of year is a time of year that you cannot leave the house in sandals and with no jacket. And I sat in the sun and drank my coffee this morning on my balcony, with just my bathrobe. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's living the life. I'm not mad.
Well, I have to say you are a warrior because I have family in New York. I have family in Boston. I cannot do the snow. I'm sorry, I can't. If it goes lower than the AC in my car, I'm not going outside. There's no way I'm going outside.
Oh, you've gotten a little bit more sensitive since you've been down in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm the only one born in Miami. My siblings are all from up north. So it's like, I love it because, up north you have the 4 seasons. You have fall, you have summer, you have spring. Here you have hot. Really hot, sticky hot, and then,
go back to hot.
Exactly. But so how do you like Miami?
I'm really loving it. I do feel though everybody's path is different, right? So when you are meant to be someplace, your experience in that place is going to be beautiful. Wherever that place is, like if you're led to be there, then the experience you're going to have is going to reflect this alignment and this beauty and everything. So, when I moved to Miami a little less than a year ago, I thought probably Miami was going to be a lot of interaction with the recording industry, doing a lot of recording sessions, building with DJ producers. And actually the first experiences I had were one, interaction with nature. There's so much nature here and I absolutely love it. The trees are so full and vibrant and ancient and like there's a relationship to the sky. There's so much water everywhere. Like for me, that's
paradise.
Yeah, it's really beautiful and it's very powerful. You feel nature, right? The second thing that surprised me, which is dope, is that there's a really big wellness community here and a lot of people who are interested in combinations between doing business and tapping into spirituality or well-being. And I really love that. I've been meeting really interesting people. So
it's like evolving.
Yeah, super cool. So I've just been very much enjoying my experience in Miami because people will warn you about Miami.
Yes.
They say, watch out, when you go to Miami, it's real shallow, it's this, it's materialistic, it's only about money, people don't do what they say they're gonna do. So those are the things that I was like, okay, that's what I can expect. It's all cool. But it's totally not been my experience, and I love that.
Because I'm born and raised in Miami, and I always feel like there's 3 sides to that. There's the good, the bad, and then there's the truth. And being born and raised here, I've seen how Miami has changed. But there is a hardship here that people have learned to love because it is very, there's a lot of nature around. It's very scenic. However, there's also the business side. And I think it also comes down to your perception of you as an individual. You're either going to view things half full or half empty. And you're a person who likes to radiate light from what I experienced talking with you, and I think that's something that is remarkable as well.
Thank you.
You bring the cleansing with you. You bring the vibe with you.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, so I thank you. I'm thankful then because I'm loving it. I'm loving the exploration. It's like still being new, so it's exciting for me to still be peeling away the layers and be like, oh, okay, there's that too. Oh, I love this. So
I do have to ask you, what is it that you miss from New York that you wish would have been? What do you miss from New York that you wish was down here?
Well, the thing that I miss from New York in every city, almost every city that in the world, is that there's a huge cultural center in New York. What I mean by that is culture is so diverse and centralized. So you could leave your house and you can just be surrounded by all these different because I'm into music, you can be surrounded by all of this music, or you could jump into some music and it's just there. You don't
so
have
many elements.
You don't have to seek it out. It is there. It's so powerfully present in New York. And that's something that I miss almost anywhere that I go other than New York. That you could just get on the train and within 15 minutes to a half an hour be in the middle of all kinds of cultural activity.
Public transit works out there. That's another thing.
And that's another cool, that's another cool thing. Although I do enjoy driving, having my own ride and everything. So, and from what I'm seeing, like Miami does not have a huge live music scene at this time. So as a person that's like, my life is on the stage, that's something that it would be cool if there was more of.
Yeah, because Miami, I believe, is more seasonal. It's not consistent. But as we get into that, you are an artist, a phenomenal one, in my opinion. Tell us about that. How did that journey start?
My artist journey. Well, something, in my case, I always, without a shadow of a doubt, knew I was an artist. Like from as young as I could have an identity, I was an artist. And I mean, like the age of 4, I would practice songs. Like I would rehearse for real, like on my own. Nobody told me to do it. I would rehearse songs to learn them properly. And then I would take like a milk crate, turn it upside down and make a stage and plant it in front of let's say my parents' friends and stand on it. And then I would...
So you didn't find music. Music found you.
It was already inside. And then I found out years and years later that it was like maybe 2 to 3 generations backed up from my ancestors. What I mean is that my grandmother and my great-grandmother wanted to sing and they never pursued it. So probably like it was like finally came down to me and it was like, it's coming out. It's here, But as far as, pursuing it professionally, there were stages. The first stage would have been, going into teenager years, you realize, this is also a career path that I can take. And I studied music at Performing Arts High School in New York, which is called LaGuardia High School of the Performing Arts. And you had to select a major in high school. So I auditioned and I got in for acting and I got in for singing.
So you do acting and you're a caliber, okay.
But you had to pick your major before you start. So I selected music singing because it was what I thought was my weakness. And hold on.
So instead of going with your strength, you said, I want to go for something that's going to challenge me.
Yeah, I also realized...
That's great.
I realized something about my personality that, it's a blessing and a curse maybe, but I have pursued the hard route. Usually if somebody says, hey, if you just go this way, it'll be easy. And I was like, no, I want to go that way because then it's the real route. I want to keep it real. So I would always take the scenic, uncomfortable, difficult path, So anyway... I studied music, and so I was studying conservatory level opera in high school to the point where the teacher was bringing opera scouts to see me.
So you got vocals and range.
From a young age, and then, so there was like a professional, it was like building up that I knew I was going to pursue the arts as a career. But the pivot point for me is really important. It was when I realized that music was my calling. And so it's a little bit deeper than just my business. Music is my superpower, is my way to respond to the world around me. It's a calling. It's my way to help others. It's my way to contribute to the world. And that pivot point happened in New York when September 11th. So for anyone who's too young
9/11.
Yeah, so anyone who's too young to know about 9/11, 9/11 was a time when the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center were attacked by hijacked planes. And not only attacked, they drove the planes through the buildings, and both the 101-story towers fell to the ground.
Wow.
And
2001.
Yes, and it's so deep because I was in New York. I had a meeting in downtown Manhattan. I woke up and I didn't want to be late for my meeting. So I said, let me get on this train before they start doing something. Because I figured it was just a fire and that the...
Hold on, but slow down. I'm sorry. Because to me, that's even God bumps, you know, that event alone forever changed the way we live still to this day. Mm-hmm. And you experienced it firsthand.
Yes.
Wow.
So when I went to downtown Manhattan, I came out of the train station, and for anyone who is not from New York, like the Twin Towers used to be this iconic representation that you made at home. Like when you're driving from a long drive and you saw the Twin Towers, you'd be like, okay, we made it. Or it was just so, it's like the Statue of Liberty or Empire State Building. The Twin Towers were like that, you know, or the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It was
a representation like, I'm home.
Yes. So I came out of the train station and I looked up. I was on Broadway. I was in downtown, so I was close enough to see the towers really, like, whatever, like a mile away or something.
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
Younger than now.
I know you should never ask a woman for her age. I do apologize. I apologize.
I mean, if I'm 29 now, how old must I have been? Well, I've been 29 for a few years, so anyway.
How you feel.
So I came out of the train, I'm on Broadway, and I look up, and one of the towers was gone. So it was just billowing black and gray smoke. And I saw the other tower, and as I was looking up at the other tower, I saw thousands of people walking down the middle of Broadway against traffic, covered in gray suit, like they looked like zombies, basically. You know what I mean? Like they had their work attire on, but they were covered in gray
like
ashes.
Pompeii looking.
Yeah, and they're just walking like this. And I looked up and I saw the remaining tower. It tilted like this. And I watched it and it just sunk to the ground. And it was just like, you know, it was like the apocalypse, you know? And people had the car radios turned up really loud. They would open the windows and doors, and everybody was standing around like a car listening to the radio. And they were like, there are more planes coming. And it was crazy.
Ooh,
okay. So to experience it, you know, was so deep. And New Yorkers are tough. You know, we feel like we can handle anything. But this one really took the wind out of us. And then we all went home because there was nothing you could do. People lined up to give blood, for example, and then the eerie thing was there were 0 survivors. So imagine everybody like, okay, cool, we're gonna give blood.
Help out.
Yeah, you gave blood, and then there was like no survivors. That is so weird.
That's bone chilling.
So I joined many with this feeling of what can I do? What can I do? There's nothing I can do. I'm only one person.
My
I'm
fellow
not.
countryman is in trouble, and it's.
Or I'm not a soldier. I'm not a fireman. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, you know, a politician. Like,
But
what
you're
am
a
I?
New Yorker.
What am I supposed to do? You know. And by the way, prior to this, I'm already an empath. So world tragedies would deeply, deeply, deeply affect me to where I was like, I want to do something. I wish I could do something. But in this case, it was home, and that was like on a whole other level. And so in that time of just every ounce of me wanting to do something but not knowing what to do, I had this wave come over me, and the wave was like, I have to sing. I have to sing. I have to sing. I have to sing. I have to go out there and I have to sing. I got to sing. Like, it was like...
You're calling.
It was just the power that I had. Like, you have to use what you have. I don't have to go out there and get a different power. I have to use the one that is already in me. That's the one that I'm supposed to activate. And from that point forward, what the shift for my career was, I started to write songs that spoke to the world. I started to sing as though someone's life depends on it. I started to see, like, this is what I can give. And if this is what I'm going to give, I'm going to use it like it can really help you. It can help people. And to this day, there are times, I've had moments where somebody will pull me aside and say, I was thinking of ending my life and I came to your show and I felt like I knew the reason to keep living. So I was like, my intention really actually works.
You have a superpower.
But everybody has one. But mine happens to be the music. And so that was such an important point for me because it was more than a career at that point. It was more than just make my money and be out. It was like, this is my ability to show up empowered in all the madness.
Oh my God.
So that was the inception story.
Wow. What? You just, it's very emotional because it's like.
It is.
That's, I was here in Miami and we felt chills here. I can't fathom what you experience. I can't, conceive because it's like you hear a lot of times where some people go through horrible events and it activates them. You're literally an example of that, and for you to use your superpower, for those to feel like, you saved me, like, how does that make you feel? Because that's...
It's validating because the other thing is that I like to say, like, my journey has never been boring, but it's never been easy. So being an entrepreneur in the first place is not an easy path. Being an artist with a substance, with a message, it's the same. It's not easy because there isn't an industry that supports artists because they have a message. The industry supports artists that make them money, and that is the first and primary focus. If you happen to touch people's hearts, it's great, but it is not a priority within the industry. So in my case, there are so many times where I had to be able to understand, why am I fighting? Why am I struggling? Why does it hurt today? And then somebody sends me a fan letter that reminds me, that's why I'm doing it, and that it validates my whole reason, So I think it's important. Remind me to say something about villains because I don't want to forget this idea, but I'm rewinding it to finish this. I think that doing what you love as your job is so empowering because love gives you strength in the hard times. If you do something that you hate, when stuff gets hard, you do not have the tenacity or the flexibility or the resilience because you already hated it and now you're suffering on top of it.
Wow.
But we suffer for what we love and we're actually okay with it because there's a bigger picture for us. So what is your bigger picture is the question, right? And I ask somebody sometimes, like, would you stand in the cold, on a long line to get your mom some medicine?
Without question.
Okay, there you go. But that's love. I'm willing to be uncomfortable because I have the will and I have the capacity to be uncomfortable because of love. So if your job and what your career pursuit includes what you love, it gives you this different level of don't give up inside of you.
It's that fire that never goes out.
True. Exactly. So that's what love is. And then those affirmations, if a person who lets you know, hey, is deeper than just the paycheck. You save, it's not that I saved someone's life, but it gave them the motivation that they needed. And it changed their life. And that it's like, if I have a capacity to change someone's life, that's like so affirming.
I love how you put that because it's I love sayings like I'm old man stuck in a young man's body. Calm seas never made a skilled sailor. And that applies to what you're saying because it's very true. The hardships that you go through when you have that love as your foundation, nothing can stop you. Like you trench on, you keep moving on, and your progress is a representation for someone else going through it, and it gives them hope.
Give them a light, yeah.
And I think that's remarkable. Like Man, I didn't think it was going to get this deep, but...
I also wanted to say, okay, there's this really interesting concept that I've been thinking about, but I wanted to share it. So we were talking about how hardships reveal your superpower,
Yes.
right? So, by the way, a lot of people go through hardships and they have powers that are revealed, and sometimes that power can be revealed and you can use that. You have to choose how you use your power. You can use your power to help people, or you could be the villain with your power. You could say, these hardships brought me to this position, and now I will no longer be a victim. I expand. I became
the S on my chest, and
but you could use your power as a villain too, meaning that we each have a superpower, but we have to be the ones to choose to use it for good or bad. There are a lot of people who have been victimized. It wasn't their fault. They didn't call it upon themselves. And that pain transformed them and they became powerful, but then they feel entitled to hurt other people now because...
Okay, so I get what you're
because
saying.
they feel justified because they had once been victimized or hurt. Yeah. So you could choose to use that power in a positive or negative way, but we all have it.
Yeah, the hero and the villain have the same origin. It's just the difference is the actions taken. The villain says, well, this happened to me, so everyone else is going to go through it, versus the hero's like, this happened to me, I make sure it's never going to happen to anyone else. It comes down to a choice, and I like that analogy with the villain versus the hero. And yeah, you're right, because power is knowledge, and knowledge is power, and with power comes great responsibility. And I wish more people looked at it that way, because people depend on us, how we move. They say that your strongest supporter is a stranger, and I firmly believe that. Because I'm pretty sure in your career, as you said before, you have random people come up to you like, you saved my life, and for that 1 minute, you didn't even know they existed. And it's grounding. It's a good feeling, because it's like I'm helping with my superpower. I'm able to reach out to so many who need this help, but they don't have a voice to speak up for themselves yet. And you're that beacon of light. And maybe,
and also a compliment feels good when it's very objective. Like, it's real if it's coming from somebody who they're
no
not
emotions at play. It's like it
was just real.
There's no time. Exactly. Wow. Okay. I love that. As far as the music goes, you have a resume that one can only dream of. And the reason why I say that, especially in the music industry, there's people who do it pretty much their whole life, and unfortunately they don't reach the pinnacles or the goals that they want for themselves. But you have worked on projects that have won Grammys. You have laid down track work. Like, guys, I'm telling you, her voice, it's powerful. It's like, it digs deep, where it's like, strap your boots tight, like, this is me. This is, I'm telling you.
I know people do get
I am a fan.
surprised. Thank you. That's such a compliment. I appreciate it.
Now, being that you have worked on these projects that have won Grammy, how does that feel to be part of that? Something that people spend their entire lives trying to obtain, and you have done it not once but multiple times, where you've been aligned with projects that have won Grammys.
There's mixed feelings. It's all good, because as I said, when you're doing an entrepreneurial path, what I mean is that I'm an independent artist, and I have treated my career like a small business, right? So primarily I manage myself through all this time, right? So that means I have the most to gain if there's a success, right? And I also have the most to lose if something doesn't go right. So there's a lot of times when things don't go right, and I lose a lot, right? And then there's times if something goes well, I feel amazing, right?
How do you keep that battle up? Because, imagine, you have this idea in your head and things go south. How do you keep yourself going? Like, how do you not lose momentum?
Because you have to keep your eye on the prize, for real. You got to know the there's short-term goals or big picture goals. You know, for example, let's take it to sports. I want to be a boxer, right? And I prepared for this big, high-profile fight, and I thought I knew I was capable to win, but I got my ass handed to me, right? So in the boxing match, I lost, or I didn't go as many rounds as I wanted to, and I lost. So that boxer, does the boxer quit after that one fight? Or is that boxer like, my goal is to become the best boxer I can be? If that is your goal, then that one boxing match, even if it was embarrassing, even if you thought you were gonna go at minimum 10 rounds and you got knocked out in the second round, oops, like,
Shit happens.
what am I gonna do? You know, so, but do you quit at that point, or do you keep going because you see yourself as, I wanna be the best boxer I can be? And the best boxer that can be is definitely not one that quits after losing a match.
If anything, it makes you more hungry. It puts more motivation to get it right.
So, I mean, maybe I have that kind of mentality. I've always had this kind of competitive, but it's not necessarily competitive against others. It's a competition to myself, too.
An internal...
Yeah. And I'm like, nah, that's not going to be me. You're not going to hear me go out like that. It's not over at that point. Like, I hope you will sleep on me, because one day you're going to look up and be like, I remember that girl. And I dissed her, and she came like for the jugular out of nowhere, like killed it. Like, and that's...
Don't count me out.
That's my approach, and it fires me up. And so, you know, if stuff doesn't go as I hope, I just think, you know, there's a line in one of my songs where I'm just, it's just another rainy day and keep it moving.
Yeah, the sun will come out. Especially being an entrepreneur, like, you know, we're both entrepreneurs. I have taught myself there's no such things as mistakes. There's only lessons learned.
I like that.
And the reason why I keep that mentality is mistakes are blessings. And that's the question I have for you. What's one of the biggest mistakes you made throughout your career that you're happy that you made, and why?
Okay, let me think about that one that I was happy that I made. Big mistakes that I was happy I made. Okay, I have to tell a story. I think it's funny. I was living in LA a few years ago, right? And I released a song, like a single. And when I say I released a song, by the way, I have my own little label. There's no backing, there's no money. There's just, I have the ability to put a song out onto Spotify, okay? Let's just keep it real.
That's power, though.
So that is power. It's something, you know, obviously at that time I was taking that very seriously. So I released a song single while I was living in LA. And when I put the song out, somebody called me. I had just moved to LA, mind you, so I was still building my relationships.
Uncharted territory, don't know anybody.
Exactly.
You're in the trenches at this point.
And I'm in survival mode. I don't have any income or anything at the time. So this really high level background singer hit me up, and she was like, hey, I know that you don't usually sing background, but I got a gig for you if you would like to take it. It's a 2-month hit. It's with the Frank Sinatra of France, like a high level, or
like
Tony.
a Charles Novoux type?
I don't remember his name, but he's a French artist who's like supposed to be like on the level of Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra. He's older. And she says, you'll fly first class, you'll be put in 5-star hotels, you'll make a lot of money. It's a 2-month gig. You know, do you want it? And I said to her, check this out. I said, I can't take myself out of the game for 2 months.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on, guys. Wait a minute. You telling me
yes, I did.
that you got first class,
yes,
paid for
5-star hotel,
5-star hotel.
Yes, only 2-month gig.
2-month gig.
And I
you said what again?
Let's go in slow motion. I can't take myself out of the game for 2 months. I just released a single. Now, mind you,
Lord.
Maya Azucena.
Lord,
Okay.
Jesus, take the wheel.
So listen, talent is talent. My talent is competitive with any major star out there, but my level at this point, it ain't on no Beyonce level talking about you can't take yourself out of the game for 2 months. So guess what happened? I said no, right? I said no. You should laugh. You should laugh.
I'm laughing at the situation. I'm not
you
laughing
really
at
should
you.
laugh.
Oh my God.
And
I'm having a heart attack because it's like.
I need to tell you this. For exactly, like almost to the day, exactly 2 months, I did not get a single call for work. I almost got evicted. It was like tough. I was like so messed up. And for 2 months, I was languishing. It was so bad. And I never forgot it. So guess what? After about 2 months or whatever, after the season, I got a phone call, somebody inviting me to go and do like a 3 to 4 month project in Turkey, right? The country of Turkey.
Across seas.
Yes. And when I got that call, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take it. Where do I sign? Let's go.
That's what we call a lesson learned. You were like, yeah, I ain't messing this one up.
I'll be there, sure, boss. Let me go. But let me tell you something. Going to Turkey changed my life. And God knew me enough to know I had to make that mistake. I have a saying. I have a lot of cool sayings, but this is a saying. My stubbornness is equal. No, excuse me. My suffering is equal to my stubbornness to learn the lesson.
Say that again.
My suffering is equal to my stubbornness to learn the lesson. So, I'm really strong and stubborn, right? So I have a high tolerance for pain.
Hard head, soft ass.
Okay. So I will suffer longer than somebody else because I can take it. But at the end of the day, it has to do with my stubbornness to learn the lesson. If I had learned the lesson 3 months sooner, I wouldn't have suffered for 3 months. I could have just got that lesson in the beginning and be like, I bet, let me deal, you know. So, and this goes back to being in an abusive relationship. I was in a psychotic abusive relationship for 7 years. This is a person who was cutting me with knives. I'm not talking about, it's abusive. No, like choking me.
Physical hardship.
Like knees on my chest, on top of me, choking me. Like this
you're a survivor.
Who stays in a relationship for 7 years like that? I was like, I can handle it. I can take it. I can figure this out.
Also, it comes down to if you never receive love down the spoon, you learn to lick it off a knife. Not saying that was your case. It's just.
I mean, yeah, if that's what you learn. But I think it was just literally like, I don't quit. I don't give up. But there's a shadow side to every plus in your life. Okay? Your blessings have shadow side. So in my case, loyalty is a powerful, beautiful, absolutely amazing characteristic. Yes, there's a shadow side to being loyal.
Yep.
The shadow side to being loyal is when it is no longer in balance and it becomes like, oh, I put myself in abusive situations in the name of loyalty, or that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the shadow side. We need to check ourselves. Your strengths are still strengths. Same like the villain and the hero idea. Your strength is still a strength, but the shadow side of it is when it's out of balance. It becomes distorted and it becomes no longer serving you. So even if it's a strength, you still need to evaluate, is it in balance? So loyalty, which is a strength and a beautiful one, the shadow side for me was staying in positions where it was abusive and painful.
But because you can take it.
I did, but why? But then it goes to my first point, which is my suffering was equal to my stubbornness to learn the lesson. I had to learn that lesson, right? And if I was willing to learn the lesson sooner, my suffering would have ended sooner. So in the case of the funny story of the mistake I made and said, I can't take it.
I got to single out.
I got everybody watch out.
I'm just not anybody, you know what I mean? Like,
Maya Azucena just dropped a hot single on Spotify. I can't, like Kev Hart when he's like, I got a lot on my mind right now. I can't listen to you.
Oh, wow.
But I had to be positioned because of the suffering. I learned my lesson. When I got that next call was the real one. To go to Turkey, it changed my life. It was incredible. It opened this whole new chapter.
Please share. When you say open the whole new chapter, I have to know, like, what happened with that whole gig that you took upon? Like, what happened in that whole sequence that became so monumental for you?
You know, in your life, in my life, everyone's life, you kind of have like these different levels of your life. Let's say like college, right? Like you became a sophomore, then you become a junior, then you become a senior, and then you graduate, and then you enter, let's say, your master's degree. Yeah. So there's all these different levels, and going to Turkey was like lined up with like a shift, like a level shift for me. I started doing these mostly private events in these luxury resort hotels. Have my own band, they're Turks, but playing my music.
Okay.
And I was just needed to see myself being a beast. 90-minute shows like 6 days a week. Like nobody else singing with me, nobody else. I'm like with flames and smoke machines and my name and logo and huge LED screens.
Glamorous.
Like, it was like, no, but it was also like training. Yeah. Of like, yo, this is how you command your stage when you have that kind of a schedule. This is how you turn an audience in your favor. You have 90 minutes to make them go crazy.
It's like School of Hard Knocks. You that was boot. Nah, I wouldn't
boot camp. It was like a boot camp, and I had to experience it to know who I am in that. Because at a certain point, that's also going to be me, you know, on tour. So
you indulged in it all. You took it all in, and you're just like, this is okay.
Like my muscle capacity as an artist is like on crazy high. And a lot of amazing things. Like I got to work with a symphony, which was a dream come true, and they did arrangements of my song. It was incredible. And I met my husband there. After working for 2 years, I met you know what I mean? Like all these things. And I was like, what?
Blessings on blessings.
You never know what's going to happen, but you have to be open to your life. If we're closed to our life, then we can't interact with our opportunities.
Amen to
they that. I think of it like this. Let's just say somebody tells you, look, at the corner store, there's a store and it's all free. Everything is free. There's food, there's juice, there's everything you need, and it's free. All you gotta do is go to the corner and get it. And a lot of people will be on their lazy boy in their house in front of the TV like, why can't they just bring it to me? Mm-hmm. They won't even though it's all there, all those blessings are there, they won't put on the shoes, the pants, get up, walk out the door, walk to the corner to get their blessings.
Mine says like, it gotta come to me.
Yes.
I don't have to go get it.
This mentality is so damaging. So many blessings are waiting for all of us. And there's a lot of people whose attitude is like, well, it didn't come yet. Well, does it really literally need to grow in your lap?
I mean, even then, you probably wouldn't even manage it. Like, let's be honest.
Or recognize it.
Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah, you have to go get it. Everyone's blessings out there. You have to have that drive. You have to have that movement.
You have to show up. Yo, let me tell you something. Inheritances straight up like, you know, if you get an inheritance, right? Somebody passes. Yeah. If you do not go and get it, somebody else will take it.
It'll be declared by someone else.
It literally belongs to you. You have access to it, but if you don't go and get it and claim it, somebody else takes it. So this is such an interesting parallel to our lives that we have so many blessings just waiting for us. These are our inheritances. These are things that are just, here you go. And what we need to do is show up for it. So when I say open to my life, it means like sometimes I'll get a call to do something I didn't expect. And if I'm open to my life, I'll be like, yo, there's probably a blessing there in that. Let me go do that. Let me go check that out. Show up for it. Or I could be like, well, why don't they just come to me?
But you've been humbled. You've been humbled, and that, like, you're a teacher. You are truly a teacher. Because even as I'm sitting with you, everything you're saying, I'm like, I need to apply some of those methods for myself. You are a teacher. And I find that amazing. I want to double back. You said that, you know, you went to the boot camp. I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that you have come across other artists who have that mentality where, well, I'm a star or I'm this person. I don't have to do that. Like, how how would you or how do you handle those situations?
You mean other artists?
Yeah, like handle egos.
You know what? First of all, the thought that I need to handle anybody else's ego is interesting. Like, I try to just stay around people that I vibrate with. And if I don't, I mean, you know, pay respect, but we don't have to be friends with literally everybody. If there's a close working relationship where there's an ego and I have to work with them, I'm a very good communicator. I know how to establish my own boundaries. I stay in my lane, but if my lane is that I'm the leader, then you're going to know that I'm the leader.
See, that's where I always wanted to know how that actually works, because you have worked with phenomenal artists, but you're a phenomenal artist yourself. So it's like, how does that...
I mean, if a fellow artist is somehow like insecure around me, first up point, I'll try my best to put you at ease by letting you know that I respect you. I'm not here to take your gig. Like, this is an us thing. Now, if a person is just an unfriendly or a nasty person, you know, it just depends on the situation. I definitely don't let anybody disrespect me or say something that I'm not cool with. But at the other side, I mean, like, look, if you feel weird, go ahead, feel weird. That sounds like a you problem.
Because as you're telling me your story, it's like, you know, what advice would you have for young artists coming up now who want to follow in your footsteps in that order? But what recommendations would you tell them, like the in and outs of the lessons that you learned that you feel will be vital for them?
Well, I will say that artists that are inspired by me, then it seems to me that you may be an artist that has some substance and you want to say things that matter to you. You don't want to just sing about really cheap, empty nonsense. You want to say something that matters. So with that being said, also you have to build in realistic expectations. We do need to pay dues. We do need to deal with people who don't have vision. There are lots of people out there who will be telling you you can't do that, or they're gonna hate on you, and you just got to keep seeing that big picture and know, like, you're not here by mistake. You know, we're here on purpose, each of us. And so the space that we take up is also our inheritance. You are not only deserving of filling up that space belongs to you. And if you don't fill it, someone else will just take it. So don't let anybody tell you you can't do or be something, but understand that you will be one. You have to believe way before everyone else. There's going to be some turning points where other people don't see what you see. But just know that people way more accomplished than us have gone through these moments. Even the Beatles, the Beatles were turned down by every single record label. And probably to this point, they're still one of the highest selling artists, even though they broke up, in the 60s?
70s.
70s. Okay, so they were a pop boy group, great songwriters, and they got turned down by every single label, and they ended up being one of the largest successes in the history of the music industry. So somebody had to say, hey, keep going, try one more time.
See, I think that's the battle. That's the battle, not even just in life alone, where it's like I even tell myself, I'm one more episode away. I'm one more interview away. Keep going. Because I'm not proud of this, but that negative thought can drown you out if you're not sharp, if you're not focused, if you're not driven. Because something so small could become something so big if you allow it to. And you got to keep pushing. You got to keep kicking. You got to keep moving forward. So when you say that, I agree with you 100%, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who, doubted you as you came up, but you never lost sight of that. You just kept
I guess have a thought like, look, if I don't die, I'm gonna win. So
say that again.
If I don't die, I'm gonna win. Like, it's not really like I'm gonna lose. I mean, at some point, like, if I outlive everybody, I'm gonna win too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if I just keep going and keep going, I mean, at some point I gotta get somewhere, and I am getting somewhere. That's another point. You know, hey, look, you also have to be realistic. If you are literally making no advances at all, then you do also have to be really honest with ourselves. What if I'm not making any forward progression? Then I have to look at what I need to improve.
Man in the mirror.
Yeah. So, but if
woman in the mirror.
But if you keep making, if you are progressing, but just not as fast as you want to, you're just saying, I really would love to have 4-wheel drive right now, but all I got are these nice sneakers. But I am getting there. Just keep going. But I do evaluate myself. If I'm at a standstill and there's no growth and nothing is evolving, then you do need to look at yourself and check, like,
what do I need to change? What do I need to reevaluate and to get this gear moving again?
How do I pivot? What am I? But if you're looking at the trail of your last year and you're like, yo, I did advance. I just didn't go as fast as I wanted to, but this is definitely ahead of where I was last time I checked. Then keep going.
Listen, you have honestly blown my mind to this point because you're a very strong woman. You're a very strong woman, and you have faced a lot. And I want to tap into the humanitarian side now. What made you get involved into that? Because you deal with sexual violence, domestic violence. You know, you gone to Haiti in 2010. You worked on a project. Shout out to my Haitians out there with the Zos. You know, Sapase, Sagela. You know, like you devoted a lot of your time and your love. What?
So I think it goes back to that inception story because for me, there's this term that people use a lot, which is I'm gonna give back. Giving back. So giving back to me, which is wonderful, but it also is an afterthought. I'm going to get success. I'm going to get all my levels. You know, I'm going to achieve everything. And then I'm going to go back and do good things with those successes. Yeah. But for me, I decided to integrate from the beginning. So using my voice, using my songs as tools for social activism or tools to empower others. So it was always embedded inside of my career approach. It wasn't just a separate thing. I am a humanitarian over here, like on my days off.
No, you incorporated it all around.
It's integrated, exactly, so that it's very aligned. Like it's not like I gotta take time off to be a humanitarian. It's more like it's part of my brand.
This is who you are.
It's part of who I am too. Yeah, exactly. And one of the important things that happened was I became a cultural envoy, which is the American government has a cultural affairs department. Okay. That means that they set aside a budget for sending American culture around the world.
Like influence?
It's sort of like a form of soft diplomacy. It's like creating positive relationships in different regions using interaction with American culture to spread, I guess, American values of whatever they, you know.
Foundation.
But the idea is they have budgets, and therefore I've received like more than 17 grants to do programs. And what the programs are literally, I get invited by an American embassy to do a tour. A concert tour in an unusual location. So it's a location that doesn't have a lot of American artists touring. Let's say you could imagine American artists are going to play, you know, Berlin, Paris, and London, but maybe I won't tour to Suriname or to Honduras or to Burma or Philippines or Sri Lanka or India or Russia or Tanzania. Yeah. Those are places I went at the invitation of American embassies. And so they book a tour for me where I would do concerts, but I would also do keynote speeches and workshops for all ages. And so
I'm just going to say, watch out, Oprah. Watch out.
So mixed into all of the tour stuff, I'm also having great opportunities to share or speak on subjects that matter to me. So youth empowerment, women's empowerment, domestic and sexual violence is a subject because I'm a survivor of a domestic and sexually violent relationship. It's a subject that I learned a lot about internally, and then I started to learn a lot about it from research.
Yeah.
And so there's all these types of subjects and just general empowerment, you know, for like trusting your voice in the world, showing up empowered, you know, how I used music as my way of doing it, but that each of us have our own same things, right? So that kind of lends itself to being a humanitarian. So I've done these tours to all of these unique places. I even gave a keynote speech in Qatar.
Qatar, Middle East.
Yeah. I showed up. I've never been there before. Got off the plane, got to the hotel. There was an 8-foot-high poster with my face on it. The theme was Unleash Your Power.
Let's go.
I went into a packed room full of local leaders, Arabic women mixed with expats, mixed with all, and I gave a keynote speech to female leaders in UAE.
How did that feel?
It was so amazing. It was amazing because, you know, something like, first of all, hope is something that even if a person doesn't know they need it, it's welcome everywhere. A sincere feeling of hope or inspiration is like, yes, you know, because I don't come to bash someone on the head and you need to do this and what y'all need to do.
No, you come with love.
Yeah, it's about you being reminded that you got this. You got this. That change that you need to see happen, you got this. Just, you know what I mean? Step into it. Step into it. I mean, when you have that feeling, you know, and then I integrate singing.
You got the juice. You know what? No, you don't have to. You got the sauce. You got the sauce.
But also, you know, and I sing and I mix it in too. And it's something interesting because singing, or I say music and sound is so, it's like this intangible energy that just, like, you could feel it in your being, you know, and like it just emphasizes the points. So being a humanitarian is just, I don't know, it just comes along with my brand, I guess.
I love that. Now, your latest album is called I Am Enough. Bring me into that. When you came, that I Am Enough, what made you give it that title?
Okay, I was writing a song. And the song was tapping into my frustration. Okay, it's like, it's never enough. Everything that I do is never enough. No matter how much I give, it's not enough. Then I started to think about my people in America, like people of color, the unserved, you know, the
voiceless,
you know, like that no matter how much we gave, it's still not enough. You can have your degree, you can be successful in your business, and you can still get shot in the head jogging. Like, no
the injustice.
It's never enough, no matter how much you give. And then so it was this whole idea of like, it's not enough. And I was writing and I was like, and then I started thinking, okay, but what if I flip it, instead of saying not enough, saying I am enough? And so I introduced the flip side of the coin, which is that you don't need validation to be intelligent. You just need to be intelligent to be intelligent, right? Yep. You don't need validation to be beautiful.
No, you need to just
being beautiful.
That's in us. You don't need validation to be vilified. Like, no, you could do that for yourself.
Being beautiful is not something that is, you're not beautiful because of validation. You are beautiful because you are beautiful, right? You are not, the history and your legacy and the things that you did, they really happened. Whether or not somebody celebrated it is a different matter.
4,096, that number. The reason why I say that is that's how many relatives it took for you to be here. Great grandparents, ancestors, took estimated 4,096 souls for you to sit here with me today. You are enough. And that's why I love that song, to be honest, because it hits home. It hits home. For any time that you felt that, damn, you know, I'm doing all of this, but I still feel short. We have it in our head for some reason. We tell ourselves negative things without realizing we're telling ourselves negative things. It's a constant fight. It's 3 battles in life. You got the war with society, the war with yourself, and the spiritual war. But I am enough, that's what recharges you to fight that spiritual war, which incorporates the other 2 battles so you could push forward.
Yeah.
And I love your music because that's what it did for me. When I first heard it,
well,
I'm telling y'all know I'm a music head. Listen, I'm a hip hop head, a music head. To my own, I know good taste. That track will hit you in your feels. It will hit you in your feels.
It's like and then when I was writing it, and then the rest of the project, I was like, I'm dedicating this to my ancestors, because it wasn't. Literally, it's like a dedication to my ancestors. So it's sort of the other song that you like, which is called "You're Not Alone."
Yes.
I hear a voice and it's calling me, saying, "You're not alone." It's like,
your husband is a lucky man, because you got your voice is amazing.
Oh,
another sample, please.
Thank you. You're not alone is my burden can be too heavy, 'cause it's not me lifting alone. Get it? So it's sort of like when we feel alone, sometimes we need a reminder that not what you're trying to do, you aren't alone. Your ancestors are behind you, and they are giving you an extra boost. They are there to
you have purpose.
They're helping you through those burdens. And so it's like, I am enough, you're not alone. All of that was like a dedication. But I mean, like with You're Not Alone, I was like, I cut myself. It was not enough. Blood flows is not enough. With my back up brick ground, build the nation around. It is not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. No, it's not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. Oh, my brilliance shines. It is not enough. Raise your kind. It is not enough. Sacrifice my child. Still not enough. No, it's not. It's like this anger, right? But then it flips to the end.
I just got put into an experience right now. Oh, I can't wait for your show. Like, I'll tell you right now. Oh, by the way, sorry, not to go on. She's performing on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Please let them know where.
Oh, man, I'm so excited, actually, because my first full band concert, proper full-on concert since I moved to Miami is on Valentine's Day. So
I'm going with my squad. I'm going with my squad.
February 14th, and it's at the most beautiful venues. It's called Palapa inside of the Upper Buena Vista area. It's, I don't know, everything is on my page, and it's, you know.
I'll make sure I'll put it in the link below so you guys can tag up and follow through.
Yeah, but we're going to bring that, you know, and also I haven't been touring my I Am Enough album, so this is kind of like still a kickoff of the new project.
Well, you got me promoting it, so.
Oh.
And I like that. And mind you, it's been such a long time since I liked the album.
That's a huge compliment. It has a rock edge to it. See, you know what's so weird? Like, okay, people look at me and they're like, oh, you sing jazz? You know, they look at me and I'm like, well, okay, I can sing jazz. But like, I have like this I come from a grit, like a rock and
The
hip hop
strength in it,
edge.
too.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even know what to call by genre because it's such a mixture of things. But I just know it has like
It's
warrior vibe.
It's like a train, like it builds momentum, and it's like, you know, in the gym, you're like, it just hits, and you're like, let's go, stack another, yeah, you know, it builds momentum, like it electrifies.
That's a big compliment. That's what I wanted.
Well, you got it. Now, before we close out, I have one question for you. What is one thing you know for sure and two things you know for certain? As you know, punt to the show.
Okay. Okay, I want to put a nice little ribbon around it, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Please do.
One thing I know for sure is life is not guaranteed to be easy. Okay? Two things I know for certain is if you don't give up, get past that tough moment, if you don't give up, I want to put the second part on there. If you don't give up and if you trust your path, it will take you to a beautiful destination.
Amen.
So one thing I know for sure is life is not guaranteed to be easy. Two things I know for certain is if you don't give up and trust the path, it will take you to a beautiful destination.
Amen, man. Amen. Amen. And before we close out, please tell my viewers where they can find you.
Everybody, you know, my name is the most complicated part. If you got that down, you can find me. All right? So Maya Azucena, okay? Maya, like the civilization. Azucena, Azucena. Drop that into any app. Drop a backslash, an @ symbol, Google. Put it in there. You're going to find me. All right?
Google her. Google her.
So LinkedIn / all of it. www.mayaazucena.com. I'm mostly on Instagram as far as daily updates. So if you're really interested in my journey and the things I have a song that just came out 2 days ago, for example. So hit me up on Instagram. I would love to be in touch with you.
Awesome. And it is your boy Logic. You know, you can find me at 1424podcast.com, 1424podcast on Instagram, and my handle is Logic142. Make sure if this is your first time, you hit that like and subscribe button. I am extremely privileged to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here. You honestly dropped so much knowledge on me. I'm going to be applying that to myself. Woo! And I believe God works in mysterious ways because this is something I truly needed to hear. This is something I truly needed to hear, receive, and internalize. And as you know, this is one thing for sure, two things for certain. Let's go.